I'll get shot. Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Tuesday evening. And we are carrying on with the series on inflammation and how it affects us in so many different ways. Inflammation is something that happens in the body when there's a problem, be it a sprained ankle, be it an injury, be it chronic stress. And that is where most of the problem comes these days, is that for the vast amount of us, we are under extreme stress. Obviously, the body needs stress. Stress is a good thing, but not on a continual basis. And that is what's happening in today's lifestyle, is that people are stressed virtually 24/7. And your body cannot cope with that, and hence inflammation happens. But not just that, also with our diets these days, with all the fake foods out there and the bad seed oils and all those things, that is all leading to chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation you'll find in things like obesity, but it also then leads to illnesses like cancer and heart disease and diabetes and arthritis. Those are all issues that come about as a result of inflammation. So let me share my screen. I mean, last week we ended off with the story about bread and how much bread has changed. I'm not seeing what I'm looking for. Where we used to have bread that had like 2 or 3 ingredients, and now we have bread that takes up an A4 page to tell you what's inside it. And that is where the problem comes about. I'm just trying to hide all my goodies and shrink me down. Okay, so most of the information that I've had so far has been compliments of Cleveland Clinic newsletter. And chronic inflammation, as I've explained before, is your body's silent rust. Think of a car, specifically down here at the coast. If it's not driven around a lot or standing outside and it's not washed properly, it will start to rust. And that's what happens to us as well. So one of the superfoods that we've been talking about that has anti-inflammatory properties is wild salmon. And it lowers the risk of heart disease and cancer. The more omega-3 fish oils you eat, the lower your blood pressure. Now, when we're talking fish oil, remember that the colder the water that the fish live in, the better the quality of the omega-3 that comes from it. We can get omega-3 from pretty much any animal source and a whole lot of plant sources as well, but it is not as effective. We spoke about the EPA and DHA. As we know, with our particular omega-3 supplement, it has a chain of all 8, which I'll get into later on in this talk. But know that EPA and DHA are your most important ones, and plant-sourced omega-3 will only give you the EPA. In one study, eating the oil in fish cut cancer incidence by over 60%. That is a significant amount. And one wonders why that research was not continued and made more public knowledge. But if you think about how much does an omega-3 cost and how much does chemotherapy cost, did you decide? If you have fish 4 times weekly, your risk for and progression of AMD decreases quite dramatically. Studies suggest that fish consumption is associated with a lower risk for depression, violent behavior, Alzheimer's disease, attention deficit disorder or ADD, and atrial fibrillation. It gives you your SPF nutrients, which is your purified fish oil nutrients. And you need to try to eat wild salmon, halibut, sardines, etc., 2 to 4 times per week. How often do you get wild caught salmon and sardines per week? I know how many times I don't get it. Another superfood is walnuts. A handful a day can cut your risk of cardiovascular event or disease by as much as 51%. Again, why has this research not become public knowledge? And why do more doctors not cotton onto this? I'll let you decide about that when you look at the cost of cardiac treatment and the cost of a handful of walnuts on a daily basis. 2 tablespoons of peanut butter 5 times a week cuts the risk of type 2 diabetes by 20%. But I will put on something over here and say, I would suggest when we're talking peanut butter, you need to get the one that does not have extra sugar and extra salt. For some reason or other, a lot of the brands do add extra sugar and extra salt. And quite honestly, I don't know why, because I really can't tell the difference between that it's where it's excluded and that has it added in. But we generally look for the peanut butter that does not have any extra salt or sugar in it. Along with tea, the easiest way to improve your health, decrease the risk and progression of AMD, and is SPF nutrients. But try to eat a handful of nuts 5 times a week. Again, with walnuts, any sort of nut, look for the raw, unroasted nuts and unsalted nuts. Raw is always better. Sadly, not always cheaper. And we need to skip the salt and added oils. Now, the other types of nuts that come together with walnuts are almonds, pistachios, sesame seeds, peanuts, pumpkin and sunflower seeds, macadamia nuts, pecans, or pecans, as some people say, and hazelnuts, cashews. And I find that when I'm traveling, like when we go to Bloemfontein, I will grab a little tub of raw, unsalted nuts, and I spend my trip snacking on those. It helps to keep me focused. It helps to keep me energized. And if I'm not hungry, I don't feel sleepy either. So when you're traveling, this is a little tip that I would suggest for you. That, together with, obviously, the Neolife tea, makes a huge difference. Now, the 10 foods that we need to avoid at all costs are the good things, like donuts, white bread, bread with less than 3 grams of fiber per slice, soda, stick margarines, or any margarine for that matter, white pasta, full-fat dairy. That's one area that I do disagree with to a certain extent, but I know there are reasons where they're saying that you need to avoid it. Movie theater popcorn, because it's not just popcorn. Luncheon meats, and this is your things like ham and that kind of thing. Sugar-coated cereal, and that is pretty much any cereal that's available commercially. So how many of those things are in your cupboard, or do you eat on a weekly or monthly basis? Have a look, because those are some things that a lot of people have on a very regular basis. Is it any wonder that inflammation, chronic inflammation, is so prevalent? So what does Neolife suggest? Obviously, a good balanced diet is key. But if you aren't getting sufficient anti-inflammatory foods in your diet, I would suggest you need to supplement correctly. First of all, we're going to talk about our Salmon Oil Plus. It has been long known and proven that omega-3 fatty acids play critical roles in the human diet. In particular, two omega-3 fatty acids found in fish oil, EPA, which is eicosapentaenoic acid, DHA, which is docosahexaenoic acid. Please don't worry about what the letters stand for. The vast majority of people actually don't care what EPA and DHA stands for. They just need to know that those are the things that need to be in an omega-3 supplement. And they've been very well researched. Today, the latest scientific research not only continues to validate the important roles of EPA and DHA in human health, but has also shown that there is a whole family of omega-3 fatty acids, a total of 8, which contribute to optimal human nutrition. And I'm not going to try and wrap my tongue around all of these things, but this critically important chain of dietary omega-3 fatty acids starts with ALA, which is alpha-linolenic acid, and ends with DHA, which I've already explained what that is, taking 6 important steps along the way. Each is now known to have its own unique biochemistry and supporting synergistic role in human omega-3 nutrition. The dietary guidelines for many nations around the world, including those from the US Department of Agriculture and food-based dietary guidelines for South Africans, suggest that all adults eat 2 to 3 servings of fish each week for optimal health. Now, those people out there who are avid fishermen probably will get this fairly regularly. But I know, interesting enough, a lot of our local fishermen just fish for the fun of fishing. They don't eat them. They fish, tag, and release. So they might be getting fish on a weekly basis, but they're not eating it. Also, one has to be very careful because remember, there's a lot of pollution in the oceans these days. Obviously, more pollution around harbor areas, but you look at all these tankers that cruise up and down the coast, and you can think about what it is that they are depositing in the sea, because they are cleaning tanks, they're dumping diesel and oil, they're leaking diesel and oil from the engines. They're dumping the empty drums in a lot of cases overboard. And if ever you've walked along the beach after a heavy storm at sea, and you look at the rubbish that's there, a lot of it isn't what is obtained locally. It's things that have got other countries' markings on them. So those things have either been washed off the boats at sea or just tossed overboard. And this is where the fish now eat these things, come in contact with them, and they become poisoned, and we get to eat those fish. So be careful about the types of fish that you're eating every week. Unfortunately, the problem for many adults is that they eat very little fish on a consistent basis and rarely meet this important nutritional need. I know I love my fish. I don't like any other seafoods, but I love fish. But I don't get it nearly as often as I would like. Maybe twice a month, sometimes less than that. And that is also not freshly caught fish either. That is from our friendly companies down in Cape Town, namely I&J and Sea Harvest. So who knows what sort of fish you're getting and what they've done to it in the meantime. Large portions of the population go without getting any broad-spectrum omega-3 supplementation for weeks, sometimes months, sometimes ever. Not to mention the fact that much of the fish supply is suspect due to environmental contamination. Next time you're having a friendly chat with somebody, ask them sort of incidentally or coincidentally how much fish they've had to eat recently and where did they get that fish from. And I think you'll be quite surprised at the answers that you get, because I know a lot of people, when you mention the word fish, they turn their noses up and go, ew, we don't eat fish. We hate the taste of it. Therefore, those people are definitely not getting anything close to the omega-3 that they need in their system. And because they don't eat fish, they tend to turn their noses up at a supplement as well. So they're getting even less. Pregnant women who have the highest dietary needs for omega-3 fatty acids, ironically, are instructed to limit their fish intake to 1 serving per week due to contamination risk. So they need it, their baby needs it for brain development, eye development, circulation, etc. But the gynaes will tell them, don't eat the fish too often. You need to eat fish. You need to eat your omega-3 supplements, but don't have it too often because it might be poisonous. So we're in a bit of a catch-22 situation. Be aware that the Neolife omega-3 salmon oil has been, in fact, I think it is the only one on the market that has been verified and approved by the Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists in the UK. And they are extremely picky and fussy about any product that they will put their name to. And they demanded all the research that was done, and they could not fault it, and therefore approved it wholeheartedly. Currently, there are no formal guidelines for the amount of omega-3 fatty acids that children should consume. However, the USDA recommends 85 to 225 grams of seafood, including fatty fish, such as salmon, tuna, and mackerel, which are rich in omega-3s, per week, depending on the child's age. Have you tried to get a child to eat fish recently? It's not always that easy. Meeting these recommendations for intakes of omega-3 rich fish per week will equate to approximately 250 to 500 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids per day. And they're not getting it per week. Despite the importance of omega-3 fatty acids for children, few are getting enough servings of fish in their diet. And this is purely personal, but I wonder how much of this problem is linked to the fact that there seems to be a huge increase in children being diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and even autism. I'm suddenly hearing a lot of stories about autism and how many kids are being diagnosed as being on the spectrum. I will be doing a little bit more research on this, and will possibly be doing a presentation on it or talk on it at some stage when I have sufficient information. But I think if more children were given omega-3 supplementation, we might find that fewer children would be diagnosed with autism and ADHD. Research in South Africa found that children in general are eating higher amounts of saturated fats and insufficient amounts of polyunsaturated fats, particularly omega-3 rich sources. In other words, their diet is extremely inflammatory. And this is true even in coastal communities who have greater access to fish potentially rich in important omega-3 fats. And in my opinion, the Cape waters probably are the best waters to get this oily fish because they are extremely cold waters. And obviously that is where the vast majority of the commercial fish that we get comes from. They're caught quite far out to sea in the Cape, the ice-cold Atlantic Cape waters. In the rest of sub-Saharan Africa, fish constitutes the lowest source of kilojoules in the family diet. Now, Neolife solves the problem of inadequate omega-3 intake with Salmon Oil Plus and, well, the two different types. You get the 90 caps and the 60 caps. They technically contain exactly the same source of omega-3, just one is slightly less than the other one. And it provides a complete omega-3 profile of salmon oil with all 8 members of the omega-3 fatty acid family, assuring complete omega-3 supplementation in every dose. And I put our children on omega-3 pretty much from the time that they could chew the capsule, much to the disgust of other family members. But I made sure that throughout their school career, they had the omega-3 every single day. They didn't always like it. And in the early days, before they could tell the difference, they would chew it. They don't like to be reminded of that these days, but it was fact. The result was they went through school very easily without any focus or concentration problems. So the top 10 health benefits of omegas, or why do we need to supplement with fish oil? Fatty fish is the richest source of healthful omega-3 fatty acids, but most of us do not eat the 2 to 3 servings per week that experts recommend for optimal health. I'd be interested to know which communities actually do get the 2 to 3 servings per week as recommended. Supplementation has been proven to be an effective means of increasing the dietary omega-3. Omega-3 support optimal function of body tissues and organs, notably the heart, blood vessels, brain, nerves, eyes, skin, and joints. Omega-3 is crucial to the development of infant brain and eyes and are naturally present in mother's milk. But to get the optimum amount in mother's milk, you have to get the optimum amount in mother. And if most people are not eating the fish or taking the supplement, their breast milk probably isn't getting the optimum amount that they should be getting. And that is very scary because obviously babies are growing extremely fast and they need the greatest amount of nutrients that they can get. And if they're not getting it from mother, where are they getting it? And scary enough, the answer there is they generally are not getting it, which is why children seem to get sick so often, in my opinion. Infants whose mothers consume foods rich in omega-3 have higher omega-3 fatty acid levels compared to those whose mothers do not consume it. Omega-3 fatty acids may slow aging of the brain. So for those who are not wanting to get senile too early, I know everybody on this particular call are still very young and fit because they do take the omega-3. So people who are concerned about losing it, get them onto omega-3. It's going to make all the difference in their life. Older adults who supplement their diets with EPA and DHA have demonstrated greater cognitive function when compared to those who don't. People who do not like fish can get omega-3 they need for optimal health from fish oil supplements. But obviously, one's got to be careful on the source of those fish oil supplements. There is a range of omega-3s that are out there who proudly boast that they are a vegetarian source. And when you read the insert and the fine print, they will tell you in quite big letters about the benefits of omega-3 and how good it is and how much of it you need, etc. And then the fine print, which they probably hope you're not going to read because they know you're not getting the optimal amount, will tell you that that particular product only has minimal amounts. So they advertise it as a vegetarian-sourced omega-3. So vegetarians and vegans get all happy because now they can have the omega-3s without eating fish. But unfortunately, they're not generally reading that fine print, and therefore they're not getting what they should be getting. Just move my picture out of the way. So both of our omega-3s are based on pure salmon oil, providing all the benefits of one of nature's richest sources of omega-3s. The products include UPH, or ultra high potency omega-3, which is an exclusive Neolife technology that boosts, stabilizes, and standardizes specific health-promoting omega-3 fatty acid levels while maintaining the whole food goodness of nature's salmon oil. They are the first supplements of their kind to assure a standardized amount of all 8 members of the omega-3 family involved in human nutrition. And the ingredients in the formulations are derived by molecular differentiation not distillation, which a lot of supplements are done by. And as John Miller likes to say, when you distill something, you're getting alcohol. We differentiate our products, which means that we take out the good things. As it says, leading edge technology that selects the specific nutrient molecules from tuna, sardines, and anchovies while eliminating or reducing others, therefore delivering unsurpassed potency, purity, and consistency in every single batch. The products are safe with no risk of accumulated toxins. Only the finest, top quality, health screened, disease-free fish selected for human consumption are used. All sources are screened for more than 200 potential known contaminants with an allowable detection limit of 0. So they guarantee the potency to deliver 460 milligrams of EPA and 480 milligrams of DHA, 50 milligrams of DPA, and 80 milligrams of mixed omega-3 fatty acids with every 3 capsule serving. And that is the 90 caps. The smaller ones will give you a little bit less, but still guaranteed delivery. And there is no hidden vitamins A or D. So I think I'm going to stop right there because then we can get onto this next week. And there's still about 7 minutes left. So if anybody has any questions or comments to make before I turn the recording off. Anybody have any questions?